Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to take this chance to give you a brief introduction of Chinese leasing. Let's begin from the history of Chinese leasing. In 2007, several Chinese banks established 5 financial leasing companies in China, and all this with bank background. After 10 years, now there are more than 8,000 leasing companies in China, and 66 of them are financial leasing companies. The difference between financial leasing companies and other leasings is the financial leasing is under the supervision of China Banking Regulatory Commission, and all their shareholders is banks, oil majors, and insurance group in China, all big names. Yeah. And for the other leasing companies is under the supervision of Ministry of Commerce. Chinese leasing involved in a lot of industries, including aviation, shipping, automobile, infrastructure, medical printing equipment, and other equipment. And during the past 10 years, they contribute a lot to the Chinese economic. Bank of Communication Financial Leasing is a typical financial leasing companies in China, and we should follow the strict regulations from China Banking Regulatory Commission. We have five offices, headquarters in Shanghai, Beijing for energy financing, Hong Kong office for refinancing, Dublin office for aviation, and Hamburg office for shipping. I think maybe you have never heard of Chinese leasing before 2013. Most of the Chinese leasing companies began the shipping business from 2007 and experienced the fast growth from 2014. This is the shipping business volume in 2016. You could see the Chinese financial institutions really contribute a lot to the shipping industry. The name marked by red star is the Chinese financial institutions. The second one is the China Export and Import Bank. The third one is us. And the next is China Industrial and Commerce Bank Leasing. And the next is Minsheng Bank Leasing from China. And the China Merchant Bank Leasing, China State Shipbuilding Corporation Leasing, China Development Bank Leasing, China Construction Bank Leasing, and ICBC Bank. Next is China Minsheng Investment Leasing, and Aviation Industry of Corporation of China Leasing, and the China International Marine Container Corporation Leasing. I think all the Chinese leasing financial institutions contribute more than 50% of the shipping finance in 2016. I believe maybe it's the same situation in 2017. For Chinese leasing, we have a lot of cooperation, not only with the European ship owners, but we also cooperate with the European banks, brokers, classification society, shipyards, law firms, and ship management companies. The most important, of course, is the cooperation with the ship owners. I cannot get access to the information of other Chinese leasing companies, and I would use Bocomm Leasing as an example to explain how the European market is important for us. You could see For us, 70% of our shipping business is in Europe. And we have the cooperation with the shipping companies from Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, France, and Greece. And only 10% of our business is in China and 20% in Asia. I think up to the last year, the total shipping finance portfolio of Bocomm Leasing is about $7 billion US. And it's very interesting, different leasing companies in China have different asset composition. For Bocomm Leasing, we have more than 50% of the vessels are container vessels. And for other leasing companies in China, maybe dry bulkers or tankers or even offshore, maybe they're to take most of their asset composition. This is our key international clients. You could see most of them are from Europe. I was frequently asked, how could us get the money from the market and why we could get cheap money? The answer is we have a lot of cooperation with the banks, especially with European banks. Until now, we have more than 1.2 billion bank loans from the European banks. And we have got the investment grade ratings from Standard & Poor's and Fitch ratings. That's the reason why we could get cheap money. And actually, we are the partners of the European banks and not competitors. And I believe the leasing is mostly the supplemental financing forms to the traditional banking loans. The Chinese leasing could provide very flexible leasing structures to the ship owners. I think that's one of the reasons why we could get a lot of business from the European market. That's a typical leasing structure for Bocomm Leasing. We usually provide high leverage, long tenors, long profile, and pre-delivery finance. In the sale and leaseback deals, sometimes we could accept the vessels with more than 15 years old. As a leasing company, we want to keep the market health. So for Bocomm Leasing, 50% of our business is sale and leaseback, which means that would not bring fresh tonnage to the market. And the leasing companies would not be the competitors of the banks. We are not ship owners. For Chinese leasing companies, we have financed more than 1,600 vessels. Only 30 vessels were ordered without charters. I was frequently asked what type of vessels is our preference and our target clients and such questions. Actually, we could accept any types of vessels, including the dry bulkers, container vessels, tankers, even offshore. And for the clients, we have the cooperation from the small sized to the big names. And we have no cap amount on the single deals. Thank you very much.